officiating 101 gay weddings in Miami. Yeah. America's favorite bleached-haired, greasy spoon-loving TV host officiated 101 weddings on Miami Beach this weekend. Yes, you read that correctly, or listened to it correctly. That's it. Guy Fieri, best known for his as a host of the popular Food Network TV show Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, well, he participated in a mass same-sex wedding in Florida, purple tuxedo and all. Fieri's late sister was a lesbian. According to the Associated Press, the event was organized by a much-loved celebrity chef, Art Smith, but perhaps known best as the former personal chef, of course, to Oprah Winfrey. Smith met his partner in Miami 15 years ago, and they married in 2010. Smith planned a ceremony and party after finding out that Florida had lifted the ban on same-sex marriages in January, and the number of weddings, 101, was very deliberate. Smith told the AP that he chose the number to liken Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's opposed legalizing gay marriage, to Cruella de Vil of the classic 101 Dalmatians. The chefs were in town for the Miami Food and Wine Festival and thought, hey, this is the time right here. Ace of Cakes star Duff Goldman made the cake, and Chi Chi LaRue, a popular Miami drag queen, DJ'd the party. Food included fried chicken, crab-stuffed avocados, and a 7-tiered wedding cake. Yes, and they're, in the words of Fieri, bomb.com. Whatever the hell that means. Okay, so now we've got men and women getting married in a mass marriage quick before they ban it again. Dealio there. And of course, we have to all swallow this as, the hard-working traditional Americans that we all are, because why? Well, can't offend the gays and lesbians, can we? No. And what about this story that I actually covered at the beginning of the week here on Coffee and Cigarettes for HTLA on Monday? Stories about teens that swap nude images of themselves back and forth on their cell phones in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. Yeah, and this was an added little couple of shovelfuls of coal I was going to throw into this show tonight. Because quite honestly, as it pertains to the whole PC movement and situation in general, it's pretty much just as ludicrous as the 10 angry birds from Sweden. However, this is even worse because this is within the borders of our country, and the ramifications we're imposing on our own people. There's serious problems here that are going to affect the society as a whole much more deeply than, 10 angry birds in Sweden. You'll understand what I mean in a minute. Police in Rhinelander, Wisconsin have long been aware that sexting, or sending sexually explicit photos or text messages, is popular with teenagers. Well, duh. But until November, when a mother of a Rhinelander high school student turned over a nude image of one of her son's classmates that she found on his cell phone, law enforcement officials had no idea the problem was so pervasive. That single image led police to identify dozens of students, all of whom who had been trading sexually explicit images with one another on a regular basis at the school. Quote, "It was overwhelming how many kids were involved," said Oneida County Sheriff's Lieutenant Terry Hook. Most of the photos were, quote, selfies, private photos that were taken and sent to a boyfriend or girlfriend. Many were forwarded on to friends and posted on social media sites, both locally and around the country. In all, hundreds of photos snaked their way through the school. Some wound up in the hands of people several states away, police said. More than 40 students were involved in the disturbing teen pornography, police said. See, now it's teen pornography. Okay. Few understood that just having the photos in their possession could have landed them in prison. Oh? Well, how is that? Exactly. And further threaten them with the sex offender registry for life. Sex offender registry? Something's not computing here, gang, is it? No. For most of these kids, it didn't even seem like a big deal to them. It was just something they did, something they thought everybody did, Hook said. Well, of course. They're teenagers. You know, when I was a teenager, we didn't do that, of course, because we didn't have cell phones in every kid's hand. We didn't have the internet constantly streaming into us kids everywhere we went, tethered by said cell phone. No. But we did other stuff, didn't we? Yeah. Now think back. If you're around my age, think back to when you were 10 years old and experimenting and doing all the things that we did as kids. What would happen, do you think, if somebody threatened us with something ominous sounding like the sex offenders list? The sex offender registry for life. Well, that would be pretty embarrassing, wouldn't it? Yes, and that embarrassment they're inferring would last you your entire life, aren't they? Yeah. For doing what? Well, something that's absolutely 100% normal. Now, granted, these kids put it on the internet. Okay. So they're a little more public. That's probably has something to do with the fact that they're tethered to devices that are tethered to the internet. I don't think any one of these kids decided, hey, I'm sure there's some fat 60-year-old man out there that wants to see my little hoo-hoo, and I could really turn him on, and he's a sick pervert, probably on the sex offender registry, and I'm going to go and put my picture out there because it turns me on to think that some sick bastard 2,000 miles away is getting off to it. Or whatever the reason is. Are you with me so far? Okay, well, we could have kept on investigating, she says. We could have, I'm sure, found much more. We stopped because what was really clear to us was that we had a problem. Well, the situation in Rhinelander is not uncommon to Wisconsin, of course. Many teens send sexually explicit photos on their cell phones, believing the image will stay private. Police and prosecutors say, yet, increasingly, the images are finding their way into the hands of sexual predators. Yes, sexual predators. Because, of course, sexual predators are on the internet too, right? Yeah. It's actually more like one of these kids thinks they'll be a smartass and put the picture of the girlfriend up publicly. And then, of course, through shares and all that good stuff, it finds its way to the hands of sexual predators. These teens themselves aren't directly involved. And who says they don't have the right to take nude selfies and send them to their friends? If there's a problem with that, then we've got a really, really big problem. Well, many teens do send these pictures, yet increasingly the images are finding their way into the hands of these sexual predators. And the teens themselves can be faced with harsh, lifelong penalties for their behavior. Oh, really? What? Like the sex offender list you just threatened? Right. Yeah, I'll continue now. Of the more than 130 million images containing child pornography examined since 2002 by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, 1 in 4 were initially posted by minors themselves. This is from John Sheehan, the executive director of that organization. For teens, the consequences of sexting can go well beyond the humiliation of appearing naked on every cell phone within a math class. A single image can easily jeopardize a job search and quickly torpedo into a college application. See, now this is the propagation of fear now, gang. You see what this is? Yeah. Well, we'll put you on the sex offenders list. You'll never get a job. You'll never get accepted to college if you do this. Is that fair? Oh, wait. Is that reality? Huh? Yeah. Think about that. Is that the reality we're dealing with right now? And if so, when did we get more oppressive than Russia in the 1950s? There's a question that needs answering. Well, when these teen images wind up in the hands of the wrong people, the consequences can be disastrous. At least 100 children from across the country fell into David Weaver's trap, police say. David Weaver, 51 of Cedarburg, not only collected sexual explicit images, he allegedly tricked teens into believing he was a young girl named Sarah. Once befriended by Sarah, the teens were persuaded to perform sex acts in front of the webcams. And you see, this is why I keep telling my daughters, you're idiots if you're trying to have a relationship with anybody on the internet. one of my 14-year-olds right now is apparently in a... Well, no, let's be fair here. She says she's engaged to a girl in Canada who wants to be a man and is going to go and do the 10 years of psychotherapy and all the stuff to go and get the operation to have her vagina removed and a penis inserted or installed or whatever the hell you call it. and of course they do send back and forth explicit videos and pictures of themselves, and it's just a whole nasty frickin' scene. And I said to her, how do you know that's not some fat 60-year-old? How do you know? Oh, well, I know. We talk. Well, no, you don't. No, unless you go meet that person face to face, you don't know jack. But what do I know? I'm just dad, right? Well, my problem with this, as it pertains to PCism, of course, is that, well, and it always keeps going back to education, doesn't it? For normal behavior, because we have seen fit as a society to stick iPhone 4s and 5s into the hands of our 10 and 12 and 14-year-olds, are suddenly staggered to know that they're online doing things that they would normally do in person toe-to-toe. But now, because we're in a digital age, it's perfectly acceptable to do it in the palm of your hand 24/7. Yeah. And all you parents out there, you know what I'm talking about. The kids even take the phones to bed with them. You know, the things are permanently attached. There's something wrong. There's a lot wrong. And it's not getting any better. No, it's getting worse. And here's an example of getting worse. We're going to talk about, in the next segment, Ben from New York City tests dinosaurs, aliens, and birthdays have now been, by the PCers, taken out of New York City students' tests. Yeah. And why would you want those things in there? What have they got to do with anything, right? Yeah, well, we'll find out more when we come back in 2 minutes, gang.
And you are listening to Crash Talk with Christopher John Taylor, a.k.a. Crash Jesus, on HTLA Radio 1, New York.
What if there was a coffee that was sourced from some of the world's most renowned growing regions, abundant with rich, fertile soil? What if this coffee was picked at the perfect moment, then packed meticulously and shipped carefully to be roasted under the watchful eye of coffee masters? What if it was expertly blended, ground, and sealed, ensuring maximum flavor and freshness, then brewed in small batches and always served fresh within 20 minutes, just the way you like it? Now, what if this coffee just happened to be the coffee you already know and love? Tim Hortons, always fresh, always great tasting coffee.
I've been so inspired by being in New York because everything from what people are wearing on the street to the way they're interacting with each other, to drive through the West Village at night and you see a couple kissing on the street, or you see someone fighting outside their apartment, or you see so much humanity on a daily basis that even if you're not inspired by your own life that day, you can be inspired by someone else's life.
You got that long hair, slicked back, white t-shirt, and I got that good girl face and a tight little skirt. And when we go crashing down, we come back every time, 'cause we never go out of style. We never go out of style. Take me out.
There's only one place to get more Taylor.
Some said the U.S. has lost its innovative power. We said America is lighting the way